Hello guys, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. If you've been struggling with the newest threshold dungeon on Inferno difficulty, don't worry, you're definitely not alone. This boss can be incredibly frustrating if your team isn't built around its mechanics. You might have enough damage, great gear, and still end up watching your entire run fall apart. After a lot of testing, I finally found a setup that's been giving me a 100% auto clear rate. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. The team I'm using is Rosa, Xuanli, Freya, Plume, and Ninfenil. And while every character plays an important role, there's one unit that completely carries this strategy. We'll get to that in a minute. Before talking about the team itself, it's important to understand why this boss is so difficult. The biggest problem isn't its damage, it's the constant damage reduction buffs, and the way it manipulates the fight whenever it gets too many turns. If those buffs stay on the boss, your damage drops dramatically and the fight starts dragging on. The longer the fight lasts, the easier it becomes for the boss to snowball with huge shields and take control of the battle. That's why this strategy focuses on two things above everything else. First, you need to remove those damage reduction buffs consistently. Second, you need to keep the turn order under control so the boss never gets the opportunity to chain multiple turns together. Once you solve those two mechanics, the dungeon becomes surprisingly consistent. Now let's talk about the team. Starting with Rosa, she's one of the core pieces because she provides reliable buff removal throughout the fight with her follow-up attacks spamming. Without consistent stripping, this strategy simply doesn't work. Every time those defensive buffs stay on the boss, your overall damage drops significantly, making it much harder to keep the fight under control. Next is Freya. She keeps the team stable throughout the run, while providing the support and damage increase needed through her Nightmare debuff. Inferno difficulty isn't forgiving, so having reliable buffer and sustain at the same time makes a huge difference in keeping your auto runs consistent. Then, we have Plume. Besides the defense break, Plume also helps maintain the overall tempo of the team, making the entire rotation feel much smoother. Every member here has a specific purpose, and removing any one of them noticeably lowers the consistency of the run. Finally, we have Ninfenil, who rounds out the team by adding even more utility and helping the entire setup stay stable during the boss's more dangerous phases with her shields and heals, not to mention her attack buff. Now let's talk about the real MVP of this entire strategy, Xuanli. If I had to pick one character that's carrying this dungeon, it's definitely her. The reason isn't just her damage. It's how well her mechanics interact with the Doomcrow shell. When those two are combined, Xuanli outputs an incredible amount of consistent damage while constantly taking advantage of Doomcrow's effect. That combination allows the team to push through the boss much faster before dangerous mechanics begin stacking out of control. Honestly, I don't think this setup would feel nearly as consistent without her. She's easily the biggest reason these runs are reaching a full 100% success rate. One thing I'd also recommend paying attention to is your speed tuning. Even if you're using the exact same team, poor turn order can completely ruin the strategy. You want your buff removal happening at the right moments, so the boss never keeps its defensive buffs for long. If the boss starts taking extra turns while still protected, you'll quickly find yourself dealing less damage while it begins stacking massive shields. Once that happens, auto runs become much less reliable. Getting your speed tuning right is just as important as having the correct characters. After dozens of runs, this has easily been the most reliable team I've tested for Inferno Threshold. It's fully automatic, consistent, and most importantly, it doesn't require manually timing your abilities every single run. If you've been looking for a team that can simply farm the dungeon while you do something else, this setup has been working incredibly well for me. Of course, if you don't have one of these characters built yet, there are probably a few substitutions that can work, but I honestly wouldn't replace Xuanli. She's the heart of this entire strategy, especially when paired with the Doomcrow shell. If you have her available, I highly recommend building around her. If this guide helped you out, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more Etheria restart content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.